But 2, we are having a tough time spending your money. Now, there's a couple things that go hand in hand. When a Protoss has a tough time spending their money, there's a couple issues that I look to first. 1, are they getting supply blocked? You? No, you're not. 2, are they chrono boosting? You're not chrono boosting.
Yeah.
We have 100 energy on the main nexus, and we've got nearly 60 at the natural. Now, there's a couple things. It's like, well, what do I chrono boost to control? I've only got the 1 robo. Okay, well, for starters, you chrono boost that.
And then
that's
the
not
gateways.
really chrono boosted. But the next thing, yes. If you have a lot of money and chrono boost, 2 birds, 1 stone, I mean, one of the ways I want you to think about chrono boost is, whoops, I need that faster. Like, if you just think about it that way, then it doesn't matter what you're chrono boosting. If you have it, you're chrono boosting. All game long, Aldaris, whatever his name was, Tassar is telling me that I don't have enough energy. That's something I want you to get in the habit of as well. Okay, spam it as opposed to conserve it.
All right.
The only people that conserve it should do that in the first 5 minutes or be expert players. You're not an expert player, and this is beyond the 5 minutes.
All right.
Okay, so just spam the crap out of it. Now, the next thing to talk about, too, is 1 base infrastructure is roughly 3, maybe 4 gateways in a robo. Okay, we do have a tech building in the Twilight Council, but the point I'm trying to make is that you're expanded, you're fairly well saturated there, and you're still on 4 gateways in a robo.
I'm about to go up to 5, but then I just sit there. So throughout the rest of the game,
and that's fine. I mean, but what I would like you to temper this with is to look at this and say, okay, probably need to make my robotics bay a little bit faster. Or I could go DTs if you feel like it. You already have the Twilight Council. DTs are quite safe against Terran. Nobody makes Ravens at this stage. Gives you some good map control. You don't have to do it. It doesn't have to be like a rush. It's like a map control thing. Like I can't leave my base unless I have 150 energy.
And then I get vision from the Zelnag towers, all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That would be a really smart thing to do.
Even a forge, and it doesn't have to be the double forge, which is really in vogue right now, but just more like a continuously chrono boosted forge with +1 attack and +1 armor. But again, we have this kind of weird Twilight Council, which could work there as well. Maybe you go +2 attack or +2 armor, whatever you want. But that's another way to spend your money. It's another way to just kind of scale up with your army, and both of those situations are fine. Now, I want you to look at the space, too, and just kind of remember pylon perimeter. Kind of just visualize that right now. That's an improvement that's not APM, not skill intensive. It's just something you can do right now that'll make you better.
Okay.
And then let's do a hypothetical thought process here. So instead of chasing me down with your stalkers, in fact, let's say you don't even have blink stalkers. Let's say this is the normal game for you. You didn't make that mistake. You have an observer in front of my natural. You're teching up to Colossus. You've got roughly 6 or 7 stalkers, 3 or 4 zealots, and then I want you to have 3 or 4, but probably 4 sentries.
Yeah.
It's very important in this matchup that you have it around that number, because if I show up with a huge Marine Marauder Bioball, it's not going to be the stalkers and zealots that win the fight at that stage. It's going to be your sentries that say, whoa, I only want to deal with half of this right now, and then you deal with the other half afterwards. Okay?
Yeah.
Obviously, with these blink stalkers, it's not as easy for you to get out those sentries, so I don't blame you this game. But in the future, I want to see you have that base.
Okay.
And then, honestly, everything else is pretty good. So if we have a pylon perimeter, you're chrono boosting, you're spending your money, you're on 4 gates in a robo, but you're getting out the Colossus, you've got a forge upgrading. This is actually a pretty strong opening for PvT.
All right.
Okay?
Now,
so let's go ahead.
Just a quick question about, you said like 3 gates in a robo can be spored on 1 base. So then if I were to aim for like 6 gates in a robo or something off of 2, would that still be supportable? Like, does that scale up with the number of bases you have?
It is, but the numbers aren't true. First and foremost, you're not going to perfectly saturate a natural.
Yeah, and especially not immediately. Yeah.
So you don't need to go ahead and add 3 gates. The second you take your natural, it should be like a 4th gate.
But I'm thinking of like what my end goal should be when I've got an income from 2 bases.
Probably a little bit less, because you're not just producing gateways in Robo. You're actually spending money on the now more expensive Colossus, which is not comparable to anything that comes out of the gateway. And then also you should have things like a Forge, a Twilight Council. So those things are different from the 1 base infrastructure because they're not factored in, right?
Yeah.
So the natural needs to be considered that yes, you should have 1 or 2 more gateways at the natural, but you're also spending money on Colossus and Forge, perhaps even Twilight Council. So no, it should not be 6 gateways. It should be more like 4, maybe 5.
Okay.
As long as you're doing those things. I mean, if you're not upgrading at all and you want to do some kind of 2-base timing, then sure, go up to 6 gates. But just understand that you're not looking to go into the mid game at all. You're trying to kill them as fast as possible. So let's go ahead and back out of the replay. We're just going to play another game.
All right.
And I'll just go Terran, just so that we can kind of improve upon that. Make sure we get at least an idea of what PvT should look like.
Okay.
Alright, good game, good luck. So the immediate changes I want for this game is the pylon perimeter.
Okay.
I want you spamming your Chrono Boost. I don't care what it's on as long as you're doing it. And then I want you to be fighting to keep your money low by doing things like staying ahead of supply, adding the Forge, upgrading up the Twilight Council Forge, and then adding Colossus to your army composition. Anything you do after that will be icing on the cake.
Alright.
What's that?
Sorry, I already messed up my gateway timing. I have 2 monitors. The cursor wasn't locked to my monitor I'm playing on, so I tried to scroll and nothing happened. So. Oh my gosh.